Today we're going to be doing some technical analysis for the SPY, Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, and Nvidia. We're going to get into that. But first, I think we need to look at this data from today. Okay, this data, we were talking about how this actually could make rates go higher because we are seeing these numbers come in hot, right? We were saying how we were looking at these numbers being projected to come in almost double from the previous reading. And these have been signs that inflation is going to come back. We need to see those rates go higher. But it looks like today, the bond market had a little something else to say. Maybe they were keeping us from uninverting or something like that, but we'll talk about that when that comes. Okay, 4.7, 4.9. This is extremely high, and the only thing I want you to take away from this is this right here at a point where you do have rates where they are. This pretty much tells you that we are going to see further inflation, and that's why I do believe that the market, stocks and stuff like that actually reacted correctly to this information. It's like we don't get a rest, right? Tomorrow we get the core PCE, personal income, month-over-month, personal spending. So a lot of this stuff can, fluctuate the market. And, maybe that first downward move that we saw in the yield today actually will be reversed and we will see another upward move. Talk about the SPY and what have we been saying on this channel, okay? I should put a big thumbs up and give you guys this and let you guys, give yourself a pat on the back because we were talking about these weekly ranges, okay? So we were saying how when this bar comes, okay, now we're most likely going to the bottom of this weekly. We did that, and look where we bounce off from. We bounce off from that weekly spot right there. So even though we were dropping, hopefully you got this information today or yesterday, and it was helpful because we were talking about how if we do break down, it doesn't mean we're going to see that super sudden crash or anything like that. It means that we need to see some buyers step in at this level for that not to happen, and it looks like we're getting those buyers at that level. So now, I don't know if there's more work to be done. This actually could be a potential bottom. I mean, genuinely, we do have that hourly divergence down here on the MACD. It's not the most significant, so we could see that further downside. But as of right now, it's looking like we have some buyers in this area. So if this is going to be, the area where we get a bottom in this big drop that we've gotten, we would need this to start to get back inside of that wedge. Okay, we'd feel much more comfortable if we get back inside that wedge. But right now, you're looking like we could be bottoming in the next few days. And look at the Qs. The Qs actually are holding below that weekly range right now, and they do not have the divergence. So that's kind of why I'm saying like this could be where we start to find a bottom, but I'm not seeing something that's making me go, this is a bottom. But it's looking like we are heading into areas where we could see buyers step back in, but we need them to step in pretty strong and hold back up in these wedges, okay? So that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. I'm really hoping that we are able to take back some price action in this wedge to then see some kind of play out to the upside if we do get some kind of pausing next week. Now, one stock that we just got to give ourselves a thumbs up here, right? We got to give ourselves a thumbs up for, Apple here because we were talking about this purple zone and how when this purple zone breaks, it is probably going to mean that we are going to go test somewhere down in this area by our wedge here, the bottom of our wedge. And what that's going to do is it's going to line up this divergence so you can see how if we do start to, break down from these levels, it could be pretty bad, but actually we're seeing some signals that are kind of suggesting that if we get some good news, sure, there might be some more downside, maybe just a little bit more tomorrow, but we could see those buyers fully step back in, and then maybe we do end up getting some kind of Fed pause. Right now, I am paying attention to the post-market just because Amazon is reporting their earnings, but right now, I just want you guys to, give yourself a big thumbs up because you were paying attention to this today, and once you saw that the 200 and this purple zone was being broken out of, we're not buying back up at the end of the day. There could be a little bit more downside. So we want to pay attention to price at this point is the overall take. Okay, guys, screw it. I'm going to give you guys another thumbs up on Amazon because we were paying attention to it. And I don't think a lot of people saw this, but this left head and right shoulder here. And we said if we start to break down from this level, then we will see some more downside. And we mentioned that 2 days ago on this bar up here, this green bar. The next day we get that downside, we close beneath these lows, right? And then we start to see further downside towards that 200, just like we were talking about. So give yourself a big pat on the back, maybe even like this video, or even click the little donation button down in the description, okay? I could use all the help I could get, considering I'm having my first kid soon, okay? But we are heading towards that 200. We could see another dip down. These earnings are looking like right now people are getting excited. I don't have those numbers yet. But if those do report well, I am expecting Amazon to get a pretty good move. Okay, so we could see some upside in Amazon, but earnings are 50-50, and that's why I stay away from them because we could easily see some further downside and maybe even go touch our little trend that's way down here at these price points of about 112, 110. So be very careful when you're trading around earnings, and let's go into Tesla. This is why we can't pay attention to one company's earnings, because this can really pull down the market. If Tesla actually breaks down, it is closing below that point of 207.42 that I've been paying attention to and we've been mentioning on this channel. But we did make sure to add last episode that we did cut beneath that and see some buyers step in. So if we do get that full closing bar, beneath this low, then you are going to go make a new low. And that could really be anywhere in this big range, okay? So I can't really give you an exact price point of how low it could go. Pretty much, I just think at this point, you're really hoping that we don't take out this low or don't stay beneath it too long. I think you do want this to start to buy back up. And it's looking like we're going to get some kind of positive reaction over the next few days. So now, Nvidia, we were talking about this head and shoulders, and yesterday I was mentioning how we are most likely going to get that test down here, and that's why I actually was more talking about how we are going to cut that level, okay? We are cutting that level, and what did I tell you to pay attention to, okay? We want to pay attention to these types of areas. If we do see further downside, we want to see if there's a retest, and then we cut that low. That's going to be bad news for Nvidia if that happens, but a good scenario might be if in this little area right in here, right, we come down, maybe we come down a little bit lower. Some people are pretty fearful, and we do get that buying back in, okay? This is an area where this divergence can play out, okay? On the MACD, on the RSI, this is the moment where you have to be really paying attention to the price action, seeing whether or not we are getting dips down and then a retest and the break of this low. If that starts to happen, it's going to mean bad news, okay? So I would be marking, if you are an Nvidia trader, this level of about 373, 372, and just if it goes below that, you're going to sink pretty low. And the reason that I'm saying that is just because there's no price action to hold you up once you pass that level. So you can see a dramatic drop. Right now, it looks like we haven't gotten to that level yet. So I am still expecting to see some kind of turnaround here. That's just my personal opinion. But just to be sure that you guys are aware, if we get that retest and we cut that low, it might be game over for Tesla or for Nvidia for a little while. Thought it'd be fun to pull up the high yield growth at this point, because you can see that the SPY actually today is making that lower low, while these high yield growth is starting to actually head a little bit higher. We're not seeing that second dip down like we did see right here today. So maybe this is hinting at us that those high yield growth bonds want to go higher, and usually the bond traders are correct. So this move here might actually be too negative for right now, and actually we could see some upside in the near future. We do pay attention to HYG on this channel and the comparison between the SPY and the Qs and stuff like that. And I just really wanted to point out that we got a big down day today, but on HYG, we actually didn't move that much, right? We actually stayed green. We got some recovery back. So it's just something to pay attention to, and we could be forming a bottom very soon. Now we need to talk about these yields, because, when you get that kind of data, these yields are supposed to go up, but they're actually coming down. And the thing is, if this 10-year yield actually went higher, we would see the uninversion, right? We would get, the 10-year possibly above 5.039. We can actually see that extend as high as 5.1, and that would be an uninversion there, okay? So that can scare a lot of people out. Maybe it's something the bond traders are paying attention to. I don't quite know. But right now, this should have risen those yields a little bit. But we have to pay attention to the price action and what's happening, not what should have happened, right? So right now you are seeing, you do have that divergence starting to play out. You are getting that red bar down here on the histogram on the MACD. You're seeing that divergence there on the RSI as well. So it really looks like these yields are going to start to head to lower levels, which can be very, very good news for stocks. Opposite side of that story, TLT. And if you didn't get scared out of this big bar here, maybe if you were an actual investor instead of a trader, right? You would have just looked at these divergences and said, this is a good level to invest, and I'm going to hold this into the future. You see this divergence down here. We rejected that cross that we were talking about yesterday on the MACD as of today. Now, this still could flip around, right? We still get data tomorrow. We still could see this flip around and make some kind of low or come down into the bottom of its channel. But as of the price action today, you're really looking like this wants to start to play out to the upside. So I do believe even if we get some kind of hip fire move down maybe tomorrow or even going into Monday, that we could see these yields start to dramatically back off. And that's why I'm kind of hinting that usually a pause is what's going to cause that. The last thing we need to talk about is the VIX, and you'd think that the VIX would be, skyrocketing to higher levels at this point with that downward move in the SPY, but actually, the VIX isn't making a new high, which is also another signal, right? This is diverting because the VIX is flat while the SPY is angled like, downward angle. So we do have that divergence between the two, and maybe that is slightly the VIX hinting that we are going to see this start to roll over and subside. Now, the only thing that's kind of a problem here is you're still above the 50 and the 200. Those are getting very, very close. So I do believe that we are at a point where probably within the next week, the market has to decide whether it's going to give us that bull run or whether we're going to see further selling. So I just really want to pay attention to the VIX as we are still above 20. We could see one more push in this, but considering that it's not making a new high while the SPY is making a new low, it's a good sign that the VIX wants to start heading to lower levels. My internet's all glitchy today. So the main takeaway for this video is we are seeing a scenario with the data that we got today where inflation is starting to grow again in this country, right? We're seeing that grow in the economy. And just because we are seeing that very high GDP growth in a time where we do have high rates, that means people are still spending their money, which will cause more inflation down the line. So we really need to pay attention to that. But it doesn't mean that we can't find a bottom at this point or in the next few days in order to get that bull run into the end of the year, as long as the Fed, gives us that pause or something like that. We would need that pause in order for that to happen, most likely. Okay, so I hope you guys have all the luck in the world trading tomorrow. I hope my camera works a little better, my internet's a little better tomorrow. But have a good night, all right? Peace.